Incremental routines. So that will be the second video I will react from Terrance Wickman about SuperMemo file structure, not well explained. So let's see what is not understood, if it's common, if something has changed, because this was released a decade ago. And I only watched like the first minute of the video, by the way.
Mo takes care of its files. So I'm going to show you what this looks like, and you may be worried
That's the file you get when you run repair collection.
because it says 1757 and the 1866 member file. What's going on there? These numbers probably should be equal.
No, not necessarily. So the text registry 1866, it's the maximum, the peak that the registry has ever gotten. And 1757 are the members that are currently used in SuperMemo in the text registry. In my case, it's a lot more obvious. If I go to my collection, I will use that's a backup, but I remember I have one for the video I will shoot about the 4 years of SuperMemo. Okay, so I have one report here. Look at that. 86,700 members out of what? 1.4 million. What is this? Because in one point that I imported like everything I ever wanted to read and more, and dictionaries as well in SuperMemo, I had more than 1 million members in the text registry. I deleted a lot of this. Snook, I'm currently using 86, but I have used all of this. The same for template. I had a peak of 64 templates at the same time, but now I use 3, the current usage of this backup. What? Okay. Font registry 00. This is true. When you delete everything so the registry is 0, you will lose that number. So in case I had fonts before, but if you do 0, then the other one also becomes 0. It's completely emptied. That means that the text registry, template registry will always be like this, because you will need to delete all of the text in your collection in order to achieve the 0. Same for the reference. I had 32,000 articles in my high peak. And now I only have 4,000, only 4,400. Same for images and so on. And for concepts. In this collection, I only have 10 concepts and I had a peak of 214. You get the pattern, right?
No worries. So what this is whenever you create...
That's because he deleted some images, but it's not a big deal. Perhaps that's why he's thinking that, oh, it should be equal, because categories, in this case concepts, he never deleted a concept or a category. That's why he thinks it's like this.
A note card or note.
Yes, what I assume in the first video I reacted to from him, indeed he's using SuperMemo 15. Cool. I have used this version, by the way, for about 10 hours. Was actually the first version I ever used in SuperMemo was this one.
In SuperMemo, builds a text registry of it, and the registry increases in number. So like each addition to the registry, which would be like a consolidation of text. Like this is the consolidation of all your text files.
Most of the time, yes, but not necessarily 100% of the time. Why? Because SuperMemo reuses everything. So if I go to my text registry, and now in this case it's 99,000, and I sort tools and sort by usage, frequency, sorry. Let's do alt result, so I have something quick. Okay, do you see I have 2? So happens to be that I have 2 items. In this case, it's the answer on vocalic poetry, and in this case, it's the question. So what actually happens is that SuperMemo is reusing the same member, and it's used here. It says number 2. Same for images that can be reused. I did one video some years ago. When I imported, I generated flashcards, items, with the same question. And I realized that the question 500 times was the same question. So it was only once in the text registry. So strictly speaking, the text registry will increase with unique strings you will have. So if you have questions like, what is in the image, this won't be counting towards the increase. In what's called, this is called text registry members. And it's not related to what's the content of front question or the topics. This also goes, for instance, let me see one example. This also includes all of those strings, the title, the date, source, the link, all of that. And if you use even in the image registry, the names here will also be in the text registry. And if you use sound files, sound components, their name will also be in the text registry.
In SuperMemo, and it creates a registry member for each one. So what I have 18. What I actually have is 1,757 of them. But how it works is it'll create a new registry spot for all of them. Or as you create them, it creates a new registry spot. So let's say I make 18.
This is true for every registry and even element numbers. So in my case, again, it's a lot simpler because it's absurd difference. So I have, how come I have more than 500,000 elements in my element info? If the amount of elements in this backup is, let me check the stats, 48,000, because this is what I ever have done. If you install the Advanced English Collection, we'll have the same. I think it's even in the 700,000, because this comes from a genuine collection from Piotr Wozniak, and he has created and deleted a lot of elements. So even if you have 40-something thousand, there are a lot more ever created in the database, and that means that a lot of spaces are not used, are vacant.
166 of them. And then I go back and delete some. It still maintains this 1866 because it keeps the location of them, and it doesn't, but it'll go back, and then as you create more, like this number will get bigger and begin to reach this number, and then they'll both grow together at the same rate. Like this one.
Yeah, it's not a golden rule, but it's likely that if you create new elements, therefore you have new texts, unique texts, this will be increasing, and you will be closer to your ever maximum.
Right here, see, it's still lower, but this one's the same. I just made another.
It's the same as I said before, because he has never deleted a category, a concept.
Or I have the same number of categories as I have members in the file, like as I have ever created.
Exactly.
So that means it's full. Whereas like this one here, or both of these, all the other ones, I've deleted some, and then gone back and added to them. So like I probably at one point had.
By the way, at least I know he's just not using the sound registry as expected. He's a medical school student. He's not using SuperMemo for language. No videos at all. Program. No need to. Script. Okay, normal. But hey, he's not using styles or fonts like me. So he is only using SuperMemo CSS. That means that he's applying the same styling to everything. If the templates happens to use style, it will be the default. And the fonts will be the fonts from the toolkit options. So if he's using fonts, it's always the same color, the same family, and so on.
62. I had 95 at one point, and then deleted them, and then now it's filling it back up. So it removes the spots and then goes back and fills them up. SuperMemos are extremely.
Okay, and use file space slot count, he just have 2. Usually I have 80 something thousand because it's 1.5 million. Yeah, it's massive. And he builds the lexicon. No need to do that when you repair collection.
It's a sophisticated program. Windows is similarly sophisticated. People don't give it all the credit it deserves. But if I go into the SuperMemo file system here, so let's say systems.
Okay, finally, I have some information that was not found in the previous video.
SuperMemo file system here, so let's say
that my hunch was that he had more than one collection because of the mismatch of the starting date. And yes, he was using first aid. He also has US MLE. I think that's the standard exam of the American Medical School, I think.
Systems. Now let's go into elements. So I want to be able to find an element. And you'd think, like, we got all these numbers here, right?
Yes. SuperMemo uses a tree because back in the day that was like required. Many limitations from hardware and software like 3 decades ago. Keep this in perspective. So instead of having, I don't know, 500,000 files in one folder, that was not possible before. A systematic approach was to have 30 folders, a folder with 30 elements. Once you have 30 elements, it goes to the next folder. Once you have 30 folders, it creates a second layer of hierarchy. So every folder will have 30 subfolders. Once you reach this, it will create a third level. And if you reach this, when I had 500,000 elements, I reach that, then it creates a fourth layer of hierarchy. So you have folder 1, subfolder 1, subfolder, and subfolder, and that's the maximum. And that means, if you do the math, you will have 8 point something, paid some little, 8 million and something else, slightly more, limit. The amount of files you can have in the elements folder. Good to know, there's a limit. Will you reach 8 million limit in your lifetime? Likely not. Or at least not from the processed stuff.
Why are these all like this? And why are different things?
Performance. That was a decision. Or was not technically possible, or it was performing better like that.
And a different number of them in each one. So what's SuperMemo?
And the number, it coincides with the element number. Okay. Do you see here at the top it says users and where my collection is? Let's go there. That's not the default place, by the way. Now is systems, learning, elements. Okay. Those are little numbers. Let's use something greater. At random. Okay. 5,258. I open this. Knowledge graphs are often to store interlinked descriptions of entities. Cool. But I know the number. I will copy this. If I press Ctrl G, oh my god, such a bad example. It has been deleted. It's a backup. But you get the point. I will do it the other way around then. So I can guarantee it exists in this collection. I have this. And I know what element is this? 436,828. Cool. So I can take a look. I don't know where it is necessarily. Well, I can know that. Right click the component, file, copy path. And it will be like here. So here is what it is. Folder number 12, subfolder number 11, subfolder, the third folder, 17, and then the number. But wait a second. This number is actually different. And it's something very weird in SuperMemo. You remember it was 300 something thousand? Okay. So now I will delete this. So what I did is that I have edited the text. Well, I already did with this, by the way, but I do a close deletion, an extract. This is adding HTML code, so it can use the styling. It's adding a class. Therefore, this file is different. Now, if I come here and I do the same thing, file, and copy path, now every time would be different. This is more obvious when you use the Git backup solution that you delete and create a lot of HTML files, even if you don't import. For some reason, SuperMemo changed the place. Not only will have a different number, it will be in a different place because the text has changed. So if I right click, file, view file, look, 11, 6, 11, 100,912. The name file is different and the directory is in a different place. And if I keep editing now, like, okay, I get rid of this, and I move on, again, they will be in a different place. Every single time. Look at this. That was the second, and that's the third. Yet a different file name and place. So this is very systematic. Every time that the text has a change, even if it's one character, it will be a new file written. It doesn't overwrite the same file. So SuperMemo works like this.
What it does is it tags, well, it doesn't tag it, but it puts them in order of like most used, so that the more frequently used ones will pop up and are more easily accessible. On older computers, this used to be necessary in order to optimize it. It's not so necessary anymore because I prefer.
Yeah, it's not necessarily, it's not required anymore, but yeah, what happens in SuperMemo? That was introduced in 1997 for the English collection, and it was left there. Oh yeah, this feature was because to synchronize locally with XML file with the Palm device, and it's a leftover. Yeah, just in case if someone doesn't want to upgrade or whatever, it's left for compatibility. But I mean, this makes backups a lot slower because you have a ton of folders and files to copy each time. But yeah, what happens in SuperMemo is that it suffers from old age. So yeah, this design today doesn't make any sense. But if it's not hurting the performance, it's okay, not a big deal. But if it is, come on, it's like when you repair collection, it's only using 30 megabytes of your RAM. I have gigabytes of memory. Please use them so you can go quicker. It does not.
Find where my files are, but you just have to trust that it's doing its job. Windows is very similar in that, like, you try to go into the the Windows registry is somewhat organized, but I mean, not really. You try to go into the Windows folder, and let's go to like.
Yeah, more or less, it's using the folder subfolder in Windows that is relationship.
System or something similar. It's the most worthless video ever made.
Nice, that is Anki, by the way. So nostalgic.
And these each have like different members and different numbers of members in them. They're all put there by the SuperMemo controller or whatever you want to call it. There's probably a way better name for it, but yeah.
The name could be, but I think there's no official name for this.
You can also go into SuperMemo, and let's say I want to go to info. reports, and this is where your like that report that you do when you repair your SuperMemo. It's in there, and there's another one in here somewhere. Is it? No, because I remember messing with it. I think it's one of these.
Those are the registries, and your larger file will be the text registry. If you use Git backup solution, you may have experienced the limit of 100 megabytes, that no file can exceed 100 megabytes. The most likely file to access to go above this limit is a text registry. Okay, let me show that in this backup. I go to registry, I sort by size, and look at that. 88 megabytes. So even if this collection, I have deleted a ton of material, and I only have 10% of what I had before. It's 88 megabytes. And then what he showed about recover, yeah, usually you won't care about this. Perhaps the repetition history, if you came across some weird bug that you rely on this, but it's very, if you use a backup solution, you will never use that. It's actually a good thing. For instance, element info, this stores for every single element, all of the information it has, the components. And so you have this component within this element, all of this. Empty slots, for me it's huge, because this is a slot that has been used, but then I deleted the element, so it can be reused. But for some reason, it doesn't reuse the slot right away, it's random. So what could happen is that it uses a brand new slot that have never been used. And yeah. A lot more reports every time you run the repair something and all of this. Those to recover. Some of them for me are huge. Let's use this one, because I used the plain text components, so what I will get. That is an example that you are deleting a lot of, look how many folders I deleted. Why? Because each folder has up to 30 files. But if I have removed, perhaps I had 4 only. But if it happened that all of the elements that I removed were using, for instance, in this folder, now this folder becomes empty. And if it's empty, SuperMemo will delete it. Let me see another one. That is because I use plain text in an item, but SuperMemo is designed to use HTML, so even the text will be going to the text component, but the HTML file is not rendered, but is still there, and it won't be removed until you do Ctrl Shift F12 manually, which I don't, or run the repair collection. And in this case, let me see, I deleted 1600 HTML because those are the items, more or less, to simplify, are the items I have created, so plain text, or topics that I deleted because I have read and there was nothing to create a card from, or it was not interesting and I just straight deleted that. And those are the unused file space. Look at that. This is from June, 892,000, out of which 870,000 are empty, are vacant. Not a big deal.
Shoot. You can control this. It's weird, right?
No. Actually, I did a video on that quite recently. You will have, in history folder, you will have a folder for each year. Within a year, a month, and for each month, a day, and that day will be a file, a SUB file, that is a subset file. And this is used when you go to the workload, and I can click, and I have this. How SuperMemo knows all of the elements IDs of that day, because this is in a file. And in my case, I will go the time of the backup, 2024, June, and here you go.
Didn't even know I had those there. I've been deleting some of my copies and
Yes, some of those are safe to delete, but most of that, it will be regenerated anyways.
you can edit the inside SuperMemo. So if I open up SuperMemo and I go to options and fonts, I can see style sheet here.
That's the SuperMemo CSS. If you notice, this is not part of the collection. It's in bin folder. So this will be shared among any collection you use, which is especially good if you want to apply the exact same styling to everything.
And there it is, supermemo.css. SuperMemo. It's in the bin file.
Folder, not file.
So I can go into the SuperMemo folder.
I think he doesn't understand the difference. He is in the systems, he's inside his collection files. And in the bin is on the SuperMemo installation files. That's why he doesn't see it. It's not there.
Here, there we go.
Exactly. This is for the tips. The question that he showed like some seconds ago, that when you run SuperMemo, you open it, you get like a question. This is aimed at newbies. SuperMemo.ini, some settings in the collection you can edit. The CSS layout is the coordinates of the windows where are, and so on. YouTube HTML, that is for incremental video. In today's, don't use this. You need to use the one that is in the website or shared in the community if you really want to use YouTube in 2024.
Yeah. And edit the CSS.
It looks quite similar to the defaults. But yeah, everything you edit here will be affected of everything that has no template or that has the template that doesn't change the styling. So it's linking to this file.
Stuff like the layout for your HTML. And you know what it's stuff like the layout for your HTML. And you know what it's and it is weird. You can't like go back and rechange, or you can go back and change old ones, but it's just something about it doesn't work how I expected it to.
I think because every time he's editing the same file. If you want different stylings, you will go here, right click, reading, text, style, and create a new style. Oh, come on. And then here you can customize it. If you notice now, this CSS file is inside my systems folder, the same place that the HTML and the images go. So this only affects this collection. Any other collection wouldn't be sharing this style. I will have to recreate it. And then I can have different templates, and this template could link to this and my test styling. The other one I could create as many as I want if I want different colors and all of that.
If somebody knows how to do this, send me. It's like send.
I just did. A decade later. Sorry, I'm late.
Me a message and tell me how to make all these things exactly the same. I want to use specific fonts for different things. Like I really enjoy the new font for Windows 8. I think it looks great, and I kind of want to just keep put that in here. But
In that case, will be font family instead of Arial, the name of this font. I don't know exactly what font from Windows 8 was. Let's assume it's Calibri. That will be my best guess. So you put Calibri instead of Arial, as easy as that. And the same for Times New Roman. Assuming you want the same font for everything.
I tried that, and it ends up being a bunch of like some of them are the right fonts, some of them are the right size, some of them are small, large. It's just that it's a big mess, and so I just kind of went back to the default and left it at that. Which is what I try to do with most of the SuperMemo stuff. But you can edit, and you'll see some of the stuff appear, and some of the I don't know. I've tried to ask.
Okay. My best guess is because one of the limitations of SuperMemo that a lot of tags are not closed, HTML tags. Let me go one place. Okay, here. So in this case, I did an extract. So if I view the source, I have span class extract. And this eventually, it will close. But if I do something else, like now I will do bolding here, now I do the highlight. How you do the highlight? Here. Okay. Something like that, right? Sometimes when you do this, the style carries over. It's, oh shit, I'm creating text and I still have this. Because the tag has not been closed. Look at that. Why this looks like this? Because it's carrying over the. So you will get my point that now you make something and why now I have this blue here? Doesn't make any sense, right? Well, because for me this I mean green, because this means an header 3. Why on earth now I have a header 3 there? Doesn't make sense. If I check the source. Now I have an empty header 3 and stuff like this. And if it happens that even the website has inline CSS that applies a font or a size, it will look very weird. To solve this, you can press F6 and get rid of fonts. It's the font tag. It's kind of deprecated, but some websites still use it. And styles. You click and you get rid of this at some degree. Let's do it again. Style, spacing, fonts. Okay, more or less. It's as before. My suggestion is don't spend time with this. So eventually get used to the weird styling and it looks terrible. It's just SuperMemo. The time investment is not worth it. And I have one analogy. I have seen in some videos. That was years ago. Somewhere I was interested in tribes in Africa, about how they do the memorization, their techniques to remember, because they don't have books, right? So they transmit this by dialogues and stories and all of that. Is how do they remember so many stories and stories so long, right? But it was off topic that I realized why they have a lot of flies between the face or the arm and so on, and why they don't bother like doing this to scare away the flies, because they came back in a few seconds. So you will spend all of the day doing this. So eventually they accept, okay, it is what it is. Let's deal with this, so I don't waste energy and and trigger anxiety every few seconds. I don't know if this is a good analogy, at least it's for me, because I have seen the footage. That, oh wow, this was like a big surprise that, wow, so they are used to the flies, to the extreme that, oh yeah, I think it's better if I just don't care about the flies. They won't kill me. Same for SuperMemo. Okay, imagine that the weird styling and so on are the flies.
Them. In fact, if you go to SuperMemo, let's go up here to the um,
Okay, super off topic, but I thought that he had a southern accent because he has a lot of connected speech. And yeah, now I see Texas. Could be that he's from Texas. It will explain. It will be nice to confirm that.
here, questions and answers maybe.
What is he looking for, by the way?
There's like bug. I think it's bugs actually. There's errors and bugs, and I gotta.
Yeah, look at the scroll bar, and that is from 10 years ago. There are more than 10,000 known bugs that they don't ever fix. They don't care. They will never fix them.
A couple questions on here. Um, so here, I'll probably have to look through that. You don't have a bunch of time, and you want to do. That's why I use Anki for day-to-day stuff. I don't have time to go ahead and look through this, figure out all these problems, figure out how to do it. But it really, the logarithm here is just so amazing. I have to use it for the.
Okay, so he's tolerating all of this for the sake of the algorithm, which today does not actually that much of a difference because of FSRS. And another point is that, well, this is what I did. I spent an enormous amount of time. And now I know why I don't do this or do it in this order or this manner. Because I know it's bug free or is a lot less likely to experience bugs. That's why sometimes tutorees that hire me, it's not because they want to know something. It's there already. Or I have done videos of myself, or in the documentation, or in SuperMemopedia, or in Discord, whatever. So yeah, I went like a fast track of, I want to do this, only this. That is my goal, my objective, and everything else I don't care. So with the usage that I intend, what I need to know. So in this case, I can filter, I can curate a list of what you need to know. So you don't spend time of all of this that, yeah, it will be good to know, but then you will realize that, okay, it's been some years, I no longer use this, I don't use this, I don't use this. So all of the time you invested will be for negligent applicability. So all of this that have you learned is for very, very little applicability. For me, it's not. I don't consider I wasted my time because at some degree I can say, okay, this is knowledge that I won't apply myself anymore, but I can apply it to tutoring. It's still an overkill, absolutely, because most of the people, there's a lot of staff that they won't care. The average person doesn't care about that. But there are people who do.
Long-term memory. But yeah, it's in here somewhere. And there's other places. This website is pretty well spread out. There's all kinds of places for bugs. I don't.
Let me tell you, this is it feels short. That list was kind of short for bugs because this is the FAQ. It's not the entire thing. If you go to SuperMemopedia, it will be a lot bigger.
Anyways, I'll let you guys fill me in on that. Sorry for the not very informative video, but I like SuperMemo. I like using it. It's just I wish it was written in.
Cool. That's nice. So even with the high level of friction, I have seen also from previous video, and this one. So he's tolerating friction every single repetition he does, we could say. Every single session he does with SuperMemo. There is stuff he doesn't like, but still goes through. And still says that overall he likes to use SuperMemo. So imagine if you take out all of this shit, all of this crap, and you make a modern SuperMemo with just a few bugs, because yes, developers are human, so let's still include some bugs here and there. It will be a lot more pleasurable, the experience, and not that many people will give up so quick. And another second point, that yeah, he went off topic here and there, but 10 years ago, who else was doing videos? You had the Super Memo Theater, that was official, is still up by the way. Some video here and there, and that's pretty much one video off, and that's about it. I came quite late to the game.
Something else. Designed a little bit, just some little tweaks would make it pretty amazing. If it was in C Sharp, you could use it on your Windows Phone, Windows. You could then convert it into C and use it on Android and whatever. And I really want to do that. And it wouldn't be too difficult to do, as Microsoft has basically released APIs that do a lot of the programming for you. So, anyways. All right, good luck, guys, and good luck studying.
See incrementally. Terrance, not you. Now let me see if there are comments. I never check that because I don't want to be primed. Oh, just that? Okay, even if it's a decade, let me leave a token of appreciation. Here is a token of... Okay. Let me see the description. I will try to explain through, not well and not in depth, the file structure of SuperMemo. I basically just say that is complicated. Okay, that will be the summary in one word, complicated. I hope I went extra mile and more in depth to explain the structure. My 2 cents of today, a decade later. Nothing more to add today. See you incrementally.